Hi, this is Dr. Sho, the Japanese behaviorist. Perfect Blue is one of the most iconic and cult movies of all time. It is a multi-layered tale with psychological, philosophical, and cultural complexities. Here I analyze Perfect Blue in 3 layers. This is the behavior analysis of Perfect Blue. First of all, let's look at the background. Perfect Blue is a 1997 Japanese anime movie directed by Satoshi Kon. If Kon was still alive today, I'm sure he would be named one of the best anime directors of our time. What Kon did in Perfect Blue was to introduce a psychological thriller to anime. In the late 90s, psychological thriller was a hot topic. The Silence of the Lambs was in 91, Seven was in 95, Fight Club was in 99, and American Psycho was in 2000. And Perfect Blue was made in 1997. It was clearly one of the pioneers of this genre. Today, Perfect Blue still has a strong influence not only on Japanese anime creators, but more so on international film directors, most famously Darren Aronofsky. So what did Perfect Blue do that no other psycho thrillers did? Let's get into the first layer of Perfect Blue. The first layer, a shared delusion. First of all, the spoiler alert. Please go watch the movie before watching this analysis. I have to spoil the plot in order to analyze the movie, and I don't want to ruin your joy of finding out who the murderer is. Now, many people are left confused after watching Perfect Blue, and rightly so, because that's what's amazing about Kon's storytelling. Kon's ability to blend reality and delusions in his movies is a state of the art. On top of that, in Perfect Blue, Kon invents the idea of a shared delusion. This movie is not about one delusional psychopath committing serial murders like a typical psycho thriller, but it is about many characters sharing the same delusion as the serial killer. And we don't know who is doing what. Mima is a pop idol singer who quits her group to pursue a career as an actress, which is a common thing to do in the Japanese entertainment industry. But there are people around her who want Mima to stay an idol. Some of them become stalkers and start threatening Mima. This is the main plot of the movie. It is these stalkers who begin to share the same delusions. Who are they? The obvious ones are Mimania, who is Mima's fanatic fan, and Rumi, who is an ex-pop idol and Mima's manager, who is against Mima being an actress. But a less obvious one is Mima herself. These 3 share the same delusions. Mima starts seeing delusions at around the time she got a role in a TV drama series called The Double Bind. As a part of the role, Mima is asked to act in a rape scene and later to do a nude photography for a magazine. Due to the stress of being an actress and the threats from the stalkers, Mima starts seeing delusions. Mima's delusion is her old self, who tells Mima that Mima as the actress is dirty, that the idol Mima is the real one.
これは私じゃない。当たり前よ。これが本当のミマだもの。本当はアイドルに戻りたいと思ってるくせに。違う。で、私はもうそうよね。もうアイドルなんかじゃないもんね。だってあなたはもう汚れちゃったもの。汚れたアイドルなんて誰も好きになんないよね。違うもん。
At the same time, Rumi operates a website called Mima's Room, where Rumi pretends to be Mima and updates her private life. Not only Mimania, but also Mima herself starts believing that Mima on this website is actually the real one. And at the end of the movie, we find out that Rumi believes she is the real Mima. Delusion infects them one by one, and they share it in the end. Although Rumi is the one who commits all the murders, it seems as if all 3 of them are involved in some ways. The movie does an excellent job of confusing the audience with what's real and what's fantasy with this shared delusion. By using animation as the medium, Kon does this really well visually, especially the same idol Mima showing up in all 3 characters' minds. Kon's invention of the shared delusion is the first layer of this movie. Now let's get deeper into the story. The second layer is about the director Kon's intention. What's the message behind Perfect Blue? Kon blogged about the production of Perfect Blue on his website, and you can still see his website today. If you can read Japanese or let Google translate it, it is quite an interesting read. He also posted there several interviews as well. Based on his website, we can see 2 points Kon stated as the themes of Perfect Blue. First, Kon was interested in how people project their fantasies onto other people. Kon makes a point that shared delusion is actually a common everyday activity rather than a psychological disorder. Kon says that people project their own emotions and ideas onto others whom they don't know. And we do this especially towards celebrities on the screen. Kon uses a TV screen, a computer monitor, a window, and a fish tank to imply this. He says that he designed Mima's room's window and a fish tank the same size as a TV screen to show this projection happens everywhere. Kon points out that we are as delusional as the characters in this movie. Second, Kon sees this movie as Mima's growth process. The movie is a metaphorical expression of Mima's transformation from puberty to adulthood. In the beginning, Mima is comfortable as a lower-level pop idol. She is happy with her daily routines such as shopping and making dry flowers with the flowers she got from the concert. But now she has to get out of her comfort zone and become an actress. In this transition, she has to establish her new identity. She is stressed, she feels out of control, she doubts her new self, she feels insecure and misses her old self. Mima's delusion represents her psychological conflict between her old self and new self. The murder represents the killing of her old self. When Mima overcomes them all, she establishes herself as an independent adult.
ミマは2人もいらないんだもん。私がミマよ。冗談。ミマはアイドルなんだよ。あなたは汚い偽物よ。そんなの知らない。私は私よ。
The last scene where Mima says to herself in the mirror, "I'm real," was, according to Kon, proof of Mima's growth.
私は本物だよ。
Taken together, in this movie, Kon wanted to show two things: that we engage in projecting our own delusions to others every day, and to depict a person's growth to become an independent self. These are the second layer. Now let's dig even deeper. The third layer is from the behaviorist perspective. So according to Kon, Perfect Blue is about Mima's growth. But is it really true? When you read Kon's blog, you can see Kon gradually develop his themes over the course of interviews with European and American interviewers. In fact, Kon complains about Western interviewers who always ask for character growth in the story, which is understandable because that's what Westerners want from the movies. But this makes me wonder whether Kon's responses were shaped by the Western interviewers. If this is the case, then what did Kon originally have in mind when he was making this movie? Perhaps something more Japanese in nature. Let's behavior analyze this third layer. The keyword is the phrase, "Who are you?" which Mima murmurs over and over throughout the movie.
あなた誰なの？あなた誰なの？あなた誰なの？
This is an odd phrase if the movie is about personal growth. Mima should be asking, "Who am I?" instead. Why does she do that? One way to look at it is, if you take the personal growth hypothesis, you could say that Mima in the beginning is immature and needs someone else to tell her who she is. At the end of the movie, she grows up and is able to answer herself, "I'm real." But the personal growth hypothesis doesn't go well with the rest of the movie. Most importantly, it contradicts the shared delusion part. If the story is about Mima's establishing her identity, why is her delusion shared with others? Alternatively, it is possible to think that this movie is not about personal growth, but it is about personal identity itself. What if Kon is investigating the nature of personal identity? This makes more sense when you look at Mima's behavior. The fact is that Mima doesn't really care to be an actress to begin with. She becomes an actress because the agent wants her to be. On the phone with her mother reminds Mima that she wanted to be a singer. And Mima doesn't express what she wants either. If this movie is about Mima's personal growth, it is odd that she just accepts her agent's decision about her career. She should be fighting for her own will instead. Her being an actress is also a metaphor for the lack of her personal identity. In addition, throughout the movie, Mima is stressed not about what she really wants, but about what other people want her to be. Even when she confronts her delusional self, Mima discusses with her what people want from her, not what she herself wants.
おい、今聞いてんのか？
そんなこと言わないで。あなた誰なの？私はアイドルだよ。みんなに待ってる。だからまたレイやユキコと一緒に歌うの。違うよ、私は女優に。バカね。そんなの誰も望んでないよ。待って。みんなが望んでいるのはね。
Mima doesn't really have her independent self, and it makes me suspicious whether Mima actually wanted to be an idol to begin with. There's a hint that Mima was asked to be an idol on the street.
ねえ君、どこから事務所入ってる？
ごめんなさい、急いでますから。
おねえってば、モデルの仕事とかさ、興味ないの？
モデル
In this sense, Mima's struggle is really about figuring out what other people want her to be. She's confused about what everybody wants from her. She's split between two parties. One side wants her to stay an idol, the other wants her to be an actress. Her role in the TV series has a split personality disorder. Rumi has a split personality disorder too.
私はキリゴエミマ。そう、仕事はアイドル、いえ、女優です。大変なお仕事ね。大変だけど、自分で選んだことだから。
完全に自分を新人女優桐越美馬だと思っています、
乖離性同一性障害、平たく言えば多重人格。
When considering these points, the last scene looks different. When Mima visits the hospital, the nurses wonder whether she's that famous actress. Mima responds, "I'm real." What does she mean by this? Actually, she's just responding to nurse's question. Yes, I'm that real famous actress. At this point, there's no more confusion about who people want Mima to be. Mima is sure about her identity, not because of her personal growth, but because people have a singular idea of who she is. And that's why she says she's real in confidence. This is problematic in a Western sense because Mima is just concerned about what other people think of her throughout the movie, and she never establishes her unique self independent of other people's opinions. There is no growth, no good story. But in the Japanese sense, it is a happy ending because everybody's consensus is formed about who Mima is in the end. Everybody, including Mima, came to accept her as an actress. A shared delusion becomes a new reality. Now, behaviorally speaking, this gets into even a deeper question about the self. Do we actually have our own unique selves that are independent of other people's influences? According to Japanese culture, the self is formed by people around you. You're just one of many people who form your identity. Personal identity is shared in nature, and that's why Mima is asking, who are you? The message of this movie then becomes like this. If you want to know about yourself, ask other people because yourself is just a consensus about everybody's opinion about you. Your opinion about your own identity is just one of many. Now, this is a wild take on personal identity. In the Japanese understanding, the self is transient and depends on other people. With Perfect Blue, Kon shatters the Western idea of personal identity, and that is scarier than the serial killer. And that's the third layer of this movie. What is your opinion about this? Do you believe your personality is independent of other people? Or do you agree with the Japanese sense of self? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. ありがとうございました。